Volunteers of America is a national, nonprofit, faith-based organization dedicated to helping those in need rebuild their lives and helps nearly 2 million people in over 400 U.S. communities. The Volunteers of America chapter of Indiana is one of the oldest, most diversified, and most effective nonprofit human service agencies in the state of Indiana. For over 115 years, it's served some of the most vulnerable citizens in society, including at-risk youth, the elderly, women and men returning from prison, homeless, the disabled, and those recovering from addictions. The mission phrase is a nice synopsis of what VOA desires for the community it serves, and that is to offer hope or dignity and transform lives. This presentation is going to focus on just one of VOA's programs called Strive Indy, which is a program that provides occupational and support services to adults with criminal histories residing in Marion County. And the idea is that this program will help improve longer-term employment prospects and, in the end, create self-sufficiency for these people and their families. VOA of Indiana was the only organization in the country to receive 2 grants from the Department of Labor, which total nearly $3 million. One was for female offenders, which started in January of this year, and that's what I've decided to focus on for this strategic communications plan. The recently released women's plight is definitely different than the men's due to the children component of the situation and the combination of generally being unmarried and living in poverty before being in prison. However, this plan could obviously be used for the male counterpart grant as well, which was given in June of this year and begins in January of 2014. Both grants have very aggressive metrics, which include challenging retention employment rates as part of quarterly requirements, and both grants have a length of 30 months. My presentation would ideally be given to a multidisciplinary group of professionals from VOA, their community engagement staff, VOA board members, and of course Strive Indy program management staff. The Strive Indy contingent part of the audience already is aware that they need help with their communications, which is why they graciously allowed me to help them with this. The goal for me is to sell them on how the plan can increase their impact and can help them achieve their goals by being proactive and spending the time and financial resources to do so. I also need to inspire the board members of VOA in attendance and VOA staff to help participate in some of the activities, since many hands make light of work, as we well know, and the Strive Indy team is very small, very lean and mean. So hello, my name is Kelly Leeper. Thanks for attending this presentation today. I'm hoping that each of you will find it helpful and will walk away thinking about the work you do at VOA and Strive Indy a little differently. As most of you know, as stakeholders of Volunteers of America and also Strive Indy, there are approximately 14,000 Indiana children that have a parent behind bars. And generally, society says that incarcerated people are behind bars for a reason. So why should they care? And here's the reason, which you as VOA and Strive Indy staff, again, already know. But the goal is to get others to see that this is the reason. Because if the thought process of why should I care isn't changed by recruiting more volunteers and mentors, by pushing lawmakers for second chance opportunity programs like Strive Indy, and getting employers to see the benefits to society and their companies by giving previously incarcerated people opportunities to become self-sufficient. If these things don't happen, the next generation will grow to become problems in society as well, and the cycle of incarceration will just continue. So, in essence, what we resist persists, right? Why is it important to have a strategic communications plan then? Well, it's important because it helps us proactively plan where we want to go through an effective and efficient messaging process. There's kind of a lot going on this slide, but let's just call it the components of the communication strategy. And let's keep it simple by saying that the objectives are the goals. And the target groups are who you're going to get your message out to. The how is the vehicle or the channels in which you're going to use to relay your message. The what is how you plan to measure your results to see if you were effective. And the outcomes are hopefully the specific achievements that you outlined in your objectives. Then there's, of course, the ancillary things, which we don't want to minimize because they're very important as well, like budgeting and bodies to do the work and the evaluation process at the end to see what worked through the plan and what didn't. And so now you're thinking, oh no, this is going to be a lot of work and I'm already bogged down with my existing to-do list and I already put in a lot of overtime hours. But here's the thing, and that is that having your ducks in a row at the onset makes for a much easier, productive working situation, because in a strategic communications plan, everything is already planned out. So I'd be lying to say it doesn't mean a few more meetings and some additional man hours to get the plan rolling, but in the end, the impact an organization can have is amazing, and it definitely gets easier after you've done it for the first time. So it really is just all about prioritizing. With this in mind, then, we're going to touch on a few things that will be explained in much more detail in the Strategic Communications Plan document, but we'll give you an idea of what that's about here with the objectives. Now, I've already met with a few people at VOA and Strive Indy to narrow down where they thought they needed help with their communications efforts. And this process went very well, and it was a really good sign because often organizations don't know even where to start, and they're overwhelmed by the amount of communication activities that go on. But that was not the case here, lucky for me. The results of those meetings, the emails, and a few annoying worksheets that needed to be completed, which I appreciate those completing them, those people that completed them. But what it basically led us to was defining the most major communications dilemma of Strive Indy that needed to get addressed, which was, how do we convince more employers to actually hire our recently released Strive Indy women? And for timing purposes for this project, I decided to focus on two initial objectives for 2014. And the first one is a stronger presence online, and that's specifically for SI. Since there's a very limited budget through the grant for any sort of outreach or advertising activities, using the internet is a great way to get exposure, especially with the younger generation who is very connected through the internet, through social media tools. And it's really a great way to network for not only individuals but professionals as well. So this objective would include changing the VOA website to more prominently show Strive Indy in an easier way to access, potentially from the homepage. And although VOA does have a social media presence with Facebook and Twitter, they're not really using them very consistently, which is kind of a problem in the communications world when you're trying to get people to consistently look at your organization and get more involved. So I'd also recommend potentially a Strive Indy blog. That could be either its own blog or linked through the VOA website. And that could include success stories or related advocacy postings that could bring attention to the program as well. And all this work doesn't have to be done by VOA and Strive Indy staff. The plan recommends considering finding an intern who could be a volunteer, potentially a newly graduating college student, to make SI's presence more robust on the internet through the VOA website or its own website and through some social media tools independently. And opportunities can be created for in-kind donations for this sort of situation. There are firms out there who optimize clients' outreach through social media outlets as their core business. And there could definitely be, there's a potential for some cause marketing partnership opportunities here. The second objective we're going to talk about briefly today is the need to increase community engagement activities. There's obviously this first year been a lot of activity surrounding getting the community aware about what Strive Indy and VOA are doing. But the simple fact is that the message has to benefit the employers. But you have to first get in front of them. And so I'm recommending that we really ramp up that sort of activity. And to do this, it means making a consistent commitment, not only from Strive Indy, but VOA professionals to meet with potential employers through various means. And this could be through the unions, through the Chamber of Commerce, through doing some research in the industries that you're focusing on for employment and going to their websites and getting contact names, networking events, industry conferences. These are all ways that connections can be made and messaging can be thoughtfully presented. And I know there's a lot of that going on, but I'm again recommending that we ramp that up. And considering VOA as an established brand that's very well respected, that can be leveraged for the program with strong messaging that puts a human face to this situation through storytelling or an actual success story from an SI woman. A list of targeted employers and events could be created by the SI communications team with accountability measures built in, as I've recommended in the strategic planning document. There's also an option to have SI hold a networking event, either at the SI building or the VOA building, of which board members and key management professionals in VOA and SI would be responsible for inviting potential partnering employers and other stakeholders to learn more about SI's unique holistic way of offering hope and restoring dignity and transforming lives. SI's approach of bringing together already strong and effective management, treatment, and family strengthening components of VOA's existing programs in combination with an intensive career development and financial stabilization services through the SI program create a holistic support system for these SI women. And all the women are supported by a case manager, a career coach, a mentor coordinator, and a community liaison coordinator who work collaboratively to provide the program components. And this is what creates self-sufficiency, which is the goal. This is the main message to potential employers, too, about what's in it for them. Because by them supporting SI women through employment and internship opportunities, they are giving these women a second chance that can make their families more stable, which leads to less crime, more tax dollars in the system, and a better community environment for all of us. So I just want to say I feel that you can all feel really great about the work you've done for the program already through this first year. I know the numbers probably are not where you would want them to be, but you have made a difference in, from what I understand, a minimum of 13 women's lives. And with this grant being the first of its kind, due to its holistic and complex coordination of SIS, you're navigating very uncharted territory here. And it's a little scary and challenging, I'm sure, based on unforgiving metrics and the concern over renewing of this grant. But the best accomplishments in life generally are the ones you had to work really hard for. So just like your clients are working really hard, you're working really hard too. And with some upfront planning and objectives that are SMART, meaning they're specific, they're measurable, They're achievable, realistic, and they're time-bound. Really, anything is possible. So, thanks for attending today.